Welcome to The Explainer. So, today we're diving into the rapidly shifting geopolitical landscape of global higher education. For decades, the narrative has been almost entirely focused on Western Europe and North America as the ultimate default destinations for studying abroad. But if we peel back the layers and actually look at the data, a really fascinating counter-narrative starts to emerge. Russia has quietly carved out an incredibly distinct, robust academic niche. They aren't just taking a slice of the global student pie, they're offering these highly specialized disciplines where deep historical legacy literally meets modern innovation.
Okay, let's dive right into this. We are going on a highly structured 5-pillar guided tour today. We'll start with the global education niche itself, flow right into language and intercultural fluency, hit IT and computer science, explore energy and aerospace engineering, talk about global medicine, and wrap up with how to actually make strategic academic choices.
Section 1. The Global Education Niche. To really get what's going on here, we have to zoom out a bit and look at the broader context of international student mobility. We're seeing massive cohorts of ambitious students from Asia, Africa, Latin America, and the Middle East who are actively looking way beyond those traditional Western corridors.
Which brings us to a huge question. As these enrollment patterns completely reshape themselves, where exactly are all these international students going? Geopolitical and economic dynamics are, they're constantly shifting. But through it all, Russian academia has maintained this remarkably robust appeal. It's really not just a backup option anymore. For a lot of students, it's their number one pick, chosen for a few very specific reasons.
And it basically boils down to this three-part equation. This is exactly what's drawing such diverse crowds to Russian institutions. You've got this renowned academic rigor, kind of like a hangover of those incredibly demanding Soviet-era educational standards, combined with highly affordable tuition compared to the West, and all of that is wrapped in deep cultural immersion. It's an incredibly competitive package if you're a student trying to maximize the ROI on your education.
Moving to Section 2, Language and Intercultural Fluency. Mastering Russian is absolutely far more than just a linguistic exercise. It's actually one of the 6 official languages of the United Nations, and it's the lingua franca across a huge chunk of the Commonwealth of Independent States and Central Asia. Learning it in an immersive environment, that is a deeply strategic investment in cross-continental commerce and diplomacy.
Let's see how this actually builds. Russian universities have practically perfected this thing they call the preparatory faculty model. It's brilliant, really. You show up as a complete non-native speaker, and you're put through a rigorous 1-year intensive pipeline. Places like the Pushkin State Russian Language Institute and RUDN University absolutely specialize in this. By the end of that year, you earn your internationally recognized TOEFL certification, and boom, you are fully ready to tackle university-level coursework in Russian. It is a highly specialized, fast-track pipeline to fluency. But why go through all that intense work? Well, just look at the payoff. Graduates aren't just becoming language teachers. They're stepping right into the diplomatic corps, international relations, and massive multinational corporations operating in the Eurasian market. The demand for pros who can seamlessly navigate the linguistic and cultural nuances of the Russian-speaking world is soaring right now, especially as non-Western economies rapidly expand their trade and energy ties.
All right, Section 3, IT and Computer Science. This is an incredibly exciting narrative. We're talking about coding the future, stretching all the way from the bustling tech hubs of Moscow to the massive research centers out in Novosibirsk.
Now, what's really fascinating here is the juxtaposition between Russia's historical advantage and its modern reality. On one side, you have this globally recognized, deeply theoretical legacy in math and physics. But then you look at what universities like ITMO and the Higher School of Economics are doing today. They've modernized that legacy into a highly practical, project-driven ecosystem. These are English-taught programs where students are literally collaborating with domestic tech giants like Yandex and VK. They're competing in hackathons and diving headfirst into AI and quantum information science. And the outcome is crystal clear. International tech grads from these programs are in incredibly high demand. Whether they're going into software development, data analytics, or fintech, they're securing remote gigs for global firms or using their education to launch startups in emerging markets. It is a tough, demanding academic environment, for sure, but the return on investment is just off the charts.
Next up, Section 4, Energy and Aerospace Engineering. Now, this section combines 2 massive fields where Russia has historically played and still plays a major global role. We are starting with the immense scale of global energy markets and reaching all the way up to the stars.
First off, let's talk about hydrocarbon engineering. Think about it.
Very few countries possess the sheer geological wealth and industrial infrastructure that Russia does. Institutions like Gubkin University provide international students with direct pathways right into the global energy sector. And we aren't just talking about traditional extraction anymore. These English-taught master's programs are hyper-focused on the digitalization of oil fields, carbon capture, and that absolutely critical transition towards sustainable energy systems.
But Russian engineering isn't just about digging deep into the Earth, it's also about reaching high. A huge piece of context here is the foundational history of Russian space exploration. From launching Sputnik in '57 to Yuri Gagarin's orbital flight in '61, that incredible legacy anchors their modern, internationally accessible aerospace engineering programs. Today, universities like the Moscow Aviation Institute seamlessly blend theoretical physics with applied engineering, preparing students for the modern era of commercial space ventures and satellite navigation.
So what actually happens after graduation? Well, these programs serve as massive stepping stones into some highly selective global sectors. Graduates are finding themselves working for national oil companies across the Middle East and Africa, or diving right into aerospace manufacturing, satellite communications, and even shaping international space policy. They are effectively translating Russian technical mastery into serious global career mobility.
Section 5. Global Medicine and Health. This continues to be one of the absolute most popular and enduring fields for international students, particularly for folks applying from South Asia, the Middle East, Africa, and Latin America.
So the real crucial point here is the scale and the rigor of these programs. We are talking about intensive 6-year MD and MBBS tracks. And a massive draw is that at leading institutions like Sechenov University and Kazan Federal University, these 6-year medical programs are taught entirely in English. They combine that famous Soviet-era academic rigor with highly modern clinical practices and state-of-the-art simulation centers.
And crucially, these degrees travel with you. They are globally portable and recognized by the World Health Organization. What that means is graduates are fully eligible to sit for major licensing exams around the world, whether that's the USMLE in the States, the PLOB in the UK, or the National Medical Council exams right back in their home countries. The practical, real-world value here is simply immense. Okay, but we do need to ground this with a quick, vital reality check. While your core coursework and lectures might be in English, medicine is ultimately about people. By the time you hit your third-year clinical rotations, you're going to be in Russian teaching hospitals. And meaningful patient interaction, that requires local language skills. So even if your actual degree track is in English, learning Russian is an absolute necessity if you want to get the most out of your clinical training.
Finally, Section 6. Strategic Global Academic Choices. Now that we've mapped out all these distinct academic tracks, how does a prospective student actually synthesize the practical realities of embarking on a journey like this?
It really just comes down to a clear checklist. To convert this incredible education into real professional mobility, Step 1, verify accreditation for your specific destination country, especially if you're in a field like medicine. Step 2, prepare for the language needs. Do not underestimate the power of knowing Russian, even in English-taught tracks. Step 3, fully understand your post-graduation licensing processes. And finally, Step 4, you've got to embrace the cultural adaptation. You really have to step outside your academic comfort zone.
I want to highlight this really powerful quote from our source material because I think it perfectly encapsulates the entire theme of this explainer. Russia's universities are not merely educational institutions, they are ecosystems of technical mastery, historical continuity, and global relevance. For students who are truly willing to engage deeply, this investment clearly yields profound cross-cultural competence.
Which leaves us with this final, thought-provoking question to chew on. As the entire landscape of global education continues to evolve and decentralize away from those traditional corridors, where will you build your future expertise? The options out there are broader, they're more specialized, and they are more globally interconnected than ever before. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer.